2021. Ready to talk about some more football, obviously. That's why we're here, And so now, I apologize for yesterday's show, as once the show was really done, okay, I learned, because I go after the show and make sure, everything went well. I go to Facebook and YouTube to make sure it was posted and whatnot. And I learned that it only saved about the first fucking 7 minutes when, I actually went for 36. So that really kind of, pissed me off. I was pretty upset because, I really, after that, I was like, wow, I did this fucking show for nothing. But, as time went on, I realized that it was still time, it was still a good time for me to really grow as a broadcaster and really, it's just one step at a time. That's what we're kind of doing here. So really, it wasn't a waste of time. It wasn't, all for nothing, but it was something. It was a good show. And if you missed it, hey, that's how the cookie crumbles. But if you're here today, awesome. So with that, all right, like I said, we're just kind of getting better one day at a time. And hopefully today, it saves the whole fucking show. Because if not, I'm going to be very upset. The streaming platform I am using is all right, not the greatest, but who knows? Maybe I'll upgrade in the near future. I don't know how long it'll take me to upgrade, but I know there's other platforms out there that are a little bit better, but who knows what happens with that. So, with that, let's have some fun talking about some football, huh? Are you ready to get your fix? Hopefully the show saves. But, last week, one of the greatest running backs of all time, Frank Gore, was pretty much asked a little bit about retirement. Now, he pretty much said that he's waiting for the right moment to do so. Hell, everybody's waiting for that right moment. You hear everybody that's retired, or when they hit retirement, they have this, thing in the back of their head, or this consciousness of like, yeah, okay, it's time. It's time to hang up the cleats. And, my time has passed, like Luke Kuechly last year. That was a big one. Kind of sad, but he did suffer multiple concussions during his career, so that played a factor in it. But at the same time, his career was excellent. He was one of the top linebackers of this generation. His man-to-man, his zone coverage was awesome. He was just really what you want in a linebacker. But look, okay, Frank Gore is one of those running backs where you know his name. When you hear Frank Gore, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, he's pretty decent. But not everyone really kind of knows what he's been able to accomplish throughout his career. And really, it kind of blows me away, all right? Going into his 17th season, which is, absolutely ridiculous. You don't see running backs that often go past, I think, year 15, I think is their max usually. Mainly because, they're getting hit a lot of the time. Their legs eventually, start giving out. They get more injuries, pulled hammies, torn ACLs, MCL career. Yeah, there's probably been some injuries here and there, but not much. And, really, the reason why I say not much is because the dude has started 218 out of 241 career games. Is that 23 games he didn't start? That is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm sure a lot of that had to do with his rookie season. Okay? But 218 out of 241 is a pretty good milestone to have. Also, he is third, okay, in the most rushing yards in NFL history at 16,000 on the dot. Right on the nuts, okay? I don't know how he was able to do that. I don't know how, granted, he has played for so long, so that helps a little bit. But, you got, Adrian Peterson, I think, who's, 2 slots behind him or 1 slot behind him, which, when he was with the Vikings, I figured maybe this guy could, break into that category of being the top 3, even the top rusher in the NFL, having the most yards, but that wasn't the case. I'm not really sure where he's at right now. I think he's a free agent, because I don't think he necessarily has retired, but, he's in the mix a little bit. But Frank Gore, 16,000 rushing yards, okay? That is right behind, okay, third most. That's right behind Emmitt Smith, who's number 1. And Walter Payton, who's number 2, and I believe Frank Gore is 720-some yards behind Walter Payton. So, if he plays this year and next year, there's a chance, okay? There's a pretty good chance he could beat that. It's going to be tough, though, especially with how old he is and especially with all these younger running backs coming in the league. So it's going to be a tough one, but expect him to stay at 3 for quite some time. It's going to be hard to surpass that 16,000 rushing yard mark. Now, Derrick Henry, if he continues on his monstrous tear in the NFL, then obviously he could probably break that eventually. But I think we've all kind of noticed how this game, or the game of NFL, is kind of not so much not really going away from the running attack. It's less. Okay, there's not as much. The running game isn't as prominent as it once was, where now you got those quarterbacks that want to show off their arms and different angles they can throw, and you got these wide receivers who are quick and want to burn these corners, and so that's kind of really why the NFL has moved to more of a passing game, but that running attack is still there, and it's still a prominent a piece. Okay, it's still a prominent piece. I mean, obviously, Derrick Henry, 2,000 yards, ridiculous. Okay, we haven't seen that since Adrian Peterson when he was 8 yards away from breaking the record. Oh, that made me mad. Childress, what the hell, dude? I don't care what it was or what the situation was. Get him those yards. That would have been historic. I would have loved it. But hey, still 8 yards away. That was awesome. Okay, now I don't know how Frank Gore really just keeps trucking along. I mean, that dude has had one hell of a career. Okay, and I bet you if you're a football guru out there, you're going to say the exact same thing. I mean, you don't really hear too much about him, but when you do, you know damn well who Frank Gore is and how well he has actually been able to play and perform in the NFL. Okay, but up to this point, it's been awesome. Okay, it's been, pretty much just awesome. Okay, I'm thinking, he's waiting to really retire. Okay, once his son hopefully gets in the NFL. His son is Frank Gore Jr., so I should be saying Frank Gore Sr., but he currently is going into his sophomore season at Southern Mississippi, the Golden Eagles down there. And, not too bad of a first or freshman year down there last year, but hopefully he's looking to, make that transition into that sophomore year and be an even better back, and hopefully down the line somehow get into the NFL. And with an NFL, or a prestigious NFL player as a dad, I mean, it should happen, okay? I mean, Asante Samuel Jr., his dad played. Antoine Winfield Jr., his dad played. There's others out there, obviously, like Clay Matthews, his dad played. So it's really, if your dad played or somebody in your family played, you have a really, really good chance of making an NFL team, an NFL roster. Okay? However, though, Frank Gore is currently a free agent. Okay, last year, I believe he was with the Jets, and the year before that, he was with the Bills for quite some time, and then the Niners for most of his career. Okay, but he's currently a free agent, and I think his chances of getting onto an NFL team at this point are somewhat slim. Okay, but let's say if I were a GM, okay, and had some, really young guys at the running back position, I'd probably want to bring Gore in, or like an Adrian Peterson, but we're talking about Gore right now. So I'd probably want to bring in Gore, mainly because I say that we went through his stats. Okay, just go take a look if you haven't seen, and if you can't really pay attention or listen to me all that well. I mean, 16,000 yards, 16 seasons. Okay, that's 1,000 yards a season. That's pretty decent. Okay, and I believe he's up there in the touchdowns. I think he has 81 career touchdowns, and I think that's puts him at 19th. So in NFL history, which is still pretty decent. I mean, hey, can't get much better than that. I mean, hopefully he has a chance to get a couple more on his resume, maybe get to 85 or even 90, who knows. But being a free agent, I think his chances are somewhat slim of making an NFL roster. But like I said, I would take a chance on him if not. Now, if you heard that noise, I hear that every single fucking day. You know what that is? That's the roommate over here, either taking a shower, flushing the toilet, or washing his hands. I don't know, but it's loud because these walls are thin as shit, but they're not as thin. They're thinner than Frank Gore. Okay, let's put it that way. Frank Gore is a freak, but we're going to continue to talk about that. So don't mind the noise too much, but just know, okay, if I were an NFL GM, I would want to get Frank Gore in there if I had those younger guys, okay? Now, I think at least a couple teams that really could use Gore, off the top of my head, really, would be the Bears, Falcons, Dolphins. The Rams would be a very good one. They have Cam Akers, who's young, is going to be the starter. Their backup, I think, is Damian Harrison or something. I can't really remember. But the Rams could use him. The 49ers could bring him back as a last hoorah, if you will. Or, the Steelers. Even the Ravens, okay? And about the Ravens, so we talked about Todd Gurley yesterday, or not yesterday. It was either yesterday or 2 days ago. Okay, we talked about Todd Gurley, all right, and how he visited the Lions. Well, I think it was today he decided to visit the Ravens. So the Ravens are looking for another veteran running back to bring in to help out Gus Edwards, who was a rookie last year and is looking to make a jump in his performance. I think he was a rookie last year. I gotta check my facts on that. Who knows? But I should, right? That's okay. Not quite an expert. I'm my own expert, and it's really how the show is going to go. I mean, there's multiple teams. You can go back to the Bills, go back to the Jets. There's multiple teams that could use him, being that they have younger running backs that he could actually bring in. His veteran leadership, his knowledge of the game. So there's obviously quite a few teams out there who could use a veteran running back. Okay, now I highly doubt that Frank Gore Sr. will stay a free agent this year, okay, or at least the entirety of the 2021 NFL season, because we all know injuries happen, okay, people become busts, you need extra, firepower, extra depth. So I don't think his chances of not being on an NFL team are, that high. I think he's going to eventually sign with the team, whether that's for a couple games or for the last minute playoff push to try to get him that ring. But yeah, I would expect Frank Gore to at least somewhat, or at least probably get onto an NFL team at some point this year. I don't know when it's going to be. And if not, I don't know, maybe it'll be time for him to hang up the cleats. I hope not, because that would be awesome to see a father-son, duo, or even if he wants to be a coach, okay? Mainly you'd want to bring in Frank Gore, like I said, mainly because of his accolades and the knowledge of the game to teach these younger guys. So hopefully Frank Gore goes out there, finds a home, because he sure as hell deserves to be on a team in one form or another. Like I just said, running back coach would be awesome, or, coaching his son somehow, or even playing with his son would be awesome. We haven't seen a father-son duo in a while, or at least I'm not 100% positive on that. But it'd be awesome to see that. So hopefully he finds a home this year or next in the NFL. So moving away from Frank Gore, let's talk about one of the Chicago Bears quarterback who was supposedly promised to be the starter of Week 1, Mr. Andy Dalton. Longtime Cincinnati Bengals quarterback, went to the Cowboys last year, had to start a few games after, and then Ben DiNucci, I think, took over. One of the two. I think it was Ben before him or Ben after him. Whatever. It was a long time ago. This is a new year, okay? New show, okay? Because before we were just doing episodes, 15 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes worth of my knowledge, which was all right, I guess. But I like it here a lot better, being a live stream. But there's some glitches here and there. It could be a little bit behind, or it could, skip or lag or whatever. And, like yesterday, couldn't fucking save the whole goddamn show. It was really weird because when I went on YouTube, because first I checked Facebook, and I clicked on it, it was 7:29. I was like, what? Are you kidding? Then I go to YouTube, okay? The picture, before you click on it, says 36 minutes. Thinking, hell yeah, we got at least one, full show. So I go comment on the Facebook, hey, sorry about the show, blah, blah. If you want to see the whole thing, go over to YouTube. So I had to delete that one because once you clicked on the goddamn thing, it was 7 minutes. Don't know what happened, but I think we found a little solution. Hopefully there was a button on here. It's called disconnection protection, if you will. And I think, because the other day I went to update this iPad and I kept losing internet, but who knows what the issue was with that. So we're going to talk, like I said, about the Bears promising Andy Dalton to be the Week 1 starter. So we all know about that Mitch Trubisky experiment, how that didn't go quite as planned, all right? So with Mitch Trubisky in his last year, or I guess in his final year of a Bear last year before he reached free agency, they signed Nick Foles to a 3-year deal, about $24 million. All right, so we're thinking, okay, there's going to be a quarterback battle. We talked about it briefly last year. Can't remember what episode. But, there was that battle, and especially when you sign somebody for 3 years, you kind of think, okay, he might be taking the reins. Well, both Nick and Mitchell, okay, they went back and forth as the Bears started. Mitchell started. Nick went and did his thing for a little while, and then they brought Mitchell back in the mix, and it just was awful. All right, it wasn't the greatest thing. They had a quarterback problem. They had a running back problem. Their defense was still fine. They had wide receivers who liked to bitch 24/7 about not getting the ball enough. Allen Robinson, but hey, that's all right because Allen Robinson is a top receiver in the NFL. He deserves to get the ball a little bit more. But he has other people like Anthony Miller, Darnell Mooney, or stuff like that. I think Darnell Mooney's on there. But yeah, you get the picture. So there still was, that uncertainty of who will actually be the main guy at the quarterback position last year. You really didn't know. Matt Nagy couldn't give you a straight answer. He's like, well, whoever's ready this week will be ready, and whoever I think should start, and blah, 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 and, it went on from there. So there was that uncertainty. Now, with that, the Bears had to let Trubisky walk away in free agency after the season, and he actually signed to the Buffalo Bills, and I believe, I think he signed a 1-year deal. I think it was $10 million as well. And then after that happened, so in free agency, they go sign Andy Dalton to another 1-year, $10 million deal. Now, I think Bears fans, probably not a lot of them, they're probably like, what the hell are you doing? Like, go get somebody else. Okay, but they think they might have their number one guy. Because they were really, Nick Foles, he's that quarterback that's going to surprise the hell out of you. Okay? Kind of like Case Keenum did for the Minnesota Vikings. You're not going to get another season out of Case Keenum like that. You might. Who knows when the hell it's going to happen. But you might. Like, you don't know exactly how well Nick Foles is going to perform every week or throughout the whole season. Yeah, he had that Super Bowl run and he won the Super Bowl. There's a statue of him and Doug Peterson outside the stadium. I don't know why there is. They're both gone. Doug Peterson, fired. Nick Foles, gone. I think he walked in free agency or traded. One of the two. It's just, that statue was built for nothing. It was just a joke. And that really did not help the Carson Wentz situation at all. But now the Bears, signing Andy Dalton, they think, okay, maybe we got a number one guy, or maybe we have another quarterback battle on our hands. Who's going to take the reins? And, well, guess what? During this year's draft, we've talked about this, the Bears decided to trade up to the 11th overall pick and selected Justin Fields. So, right away after the selection, I was like, okay, the Bears want their guy. Other teams let Justin Fields slip a little bit in the draft. I don't know why they necessarily did that, but they obviously didn't need anybody at the quarterback position. So the Bears were like, hey, let's sneak up. Let's get that 11th pick. Let's take Justin Fields. And I was like, damn. All right, bold move, Cotton. Hopefully this is not another Mitch Trubisky situation, even though you are dealing with a better overall quarterback. You have more tape, more film on him. You've seen what he can actually do. Where Mitch Trubisky only started 13 total games in his college career, and you really didn't know what you're going to get. He went to North Carolina, not really known as a prestigious football school, more of a basketball school. So at the same time, do you think he played against the good enough talent? Blah, blah. So I was like, okay, this is a good move. This is a really good move. This gives the Bears some room at quarterback. Now they can focus on other position. And really now what this did was create a quarterback battle again. You're bringing this young guy who everyone thinks is going to be a stud. And you have these other two guys that one of them has won a Super Bowl, and Nick Foles, and then Andy Dalton's had a pretty decent career up to this point. Okay? But after all this mumbo-jumbo and crap, or whatever you want to call it, the Bears go out. We talked about this too. They posted a picture of Andy Dalton. Okay? They said quarterback one. Now don't get me wrong. Okay, Andy Dalton has been just fine in the past. He was on a shitty Bengals team. The Bengals are lost until they have a new owner, or have new ownership, I think. Hopefully they can figure stuff out this year. They have Jamar Chase, who actually played with Joe Burrow. But look, Andy Dalton, he averages about 3,300 to 3,500 yards a season, okay, with about 20 to 25 touchdowns on average. So you're going to get something out of him, but you're not going to get the best out of him. That's kind of what I'm saying. He's a better backup in my eyes than he would be considered a starter. I think he'd be a backup in a lot of teams in the NFL. He's not necessarily going to be the number one guy. Obviously, there is a couple teams where you could put him in that number one spot. Like the Denver Broncos. Who knows what you're really going to get with Teddy? He did go 5-0 with the Saints. Blah blah. But Andy Dalton's okay. He's been just fine. Okay, he's not by any means a great quarterback. He's a good one. He's an all right one. Okay, but he's a better backup. Now, however, I think the Bears necessarily did this signing because they really wanted to test Justin Fields. Okay? And by testing, I mean you got one quarterback who still has 2 years, Nick Foles. Now you bring in Andy Dalton for 1 year. It's pretty much a security blanket. Hopefully maybe he can be that week one starter that the Bears think or thought they had, and they still have. They promised him, I guess, the reports are, that he was going to be week one starter. Dumb. They really just did this so that they could see what they got, test the waters, and kind of work on the other positions a little bit more. All right? So, once minicamp kind of got underway, apparently, yesterday, Andy Dalton didn't do so hot. All right? He was picked off 3 times in a 7-on-7 little game or exhibition, whatever you want to call it. 3 times in a 7-on-7. Are you kidding me? It's not even a full 11 people on the field. Imagine if there's a whole 11 people on the field. You had, 4 more guys out there? I guess on each side of the ball, obviously. But you're probably looking at 4 or 5 interceptions. But 3 interceptions in a mini camp. Granted, he probably doesn't know the playbook all that well. Quite yet, anyways. But you're a veteran. You shouldn't make that many mistakes, especially in one day, or especially on a 7-on-7. Your wide receivers are going to be a little bit more open. You're going to have a little bit more space to move around. Keep the interceptions down. All right? But then you go take a look at Justin Fields. All right? And really what that 3 picks did was open the door for Justin and be like, hey, guess what? This is my quarterback position. I'm coming in here. I'm going to sling that ball all day long, and I'm going to make you look silly. If you've ever seen Justin Fields throw the ball, it's weird. You know how normal is like this? Well, the man goes like this. It's really weird. Odd kind of thing to do. But hey, he's got the job done, all right? But you go look at what he did, and I guess he kind of balled out. All right? He had 2 people sorta, praise him. So head coach Matt Nagy, he goes out there. I saw this on both of these. I saw on Bleacher Report Gridiron, where Matt Nagy said he has that mentality to rip your heart out. Damn. All right then. I guess that leaves it at that, really. Okay. So that pretty much means he's got that mentality of a dog, and that's what you need. You need a leader out there. You need somebody that's gonna be like, hey, do your shit. Get it, like Aaron Rodgers, fucking move. And that's pretty good coming from Matt Nagy, especially that coach. Then you go look at wide receiver. Yeah, Darnell Mooney. He is on the Bears. Look at that. Fat check right there. Did I say fat? No. Couldn't. No, don't think I said fat. I said fact. There you go. So Darnell Mooney, he said the very first one he threw up to me, I was smiling mid-route. Yeah. Oh, thanks. It's awesome, okay? I don't know what that necessarily means. It probably is they're like, fuck yeah, time for a change for once. We had Mitch Trubisky, really hit and miss. You have Nick Foles coming there, hit and miss. You bring in Andy Dalton, who has had an all right career with Cincinnati. Granted, they didn't have the best records. They had that 1 year where they started 11-0, or was it 10-0? And I think he finished that year out 10-3, because I think he only played 13 games that season, if I'm correct. But really what that is, by the time we got somebody in here that I actually trust, and hopefully is actually ready to be a dog and be that number 1 guy. So really what this is, with the Bears promising Andy Dalton that he's going to be week 1 starter, okay, that's I don't even know how to bear that. I mean, imagine if they would have said, hey, Nick, you're going to be that number one quarterback. Well, how do you think Andy Dalton would feel? Probably not so hot. But really, you don't promise something you can't hold your word to. And I think that's going to be exactly the situation we have here. Okay, I expect Justin Fields to probably start week 1. I don't know how that's all necessarily going to play out, but we're just going to keep, watch, keep our eyes out, and keep our eyes peeled, really. But granted, there is plenty time, okay, for both Nick Foles and Andy Dalton to kind of turn some heads and really figure stuff out, I guess. People walking in, it's all right. Jesse, he's all right. But really what this happens, all right, is it gives them time to turn some heads and really give folks around the league a little thing to look at. Can't wait, folks. Can't wait. It's all right. That's part of the show. We have a whole bunch of stuff. If a clown walked in here, I'd let him peek in. But Jesse ain't a clown. He's a good guy. But I think, just don't promise something you can't really hold. And I just think there's a reason that the Bears really traded up for Justin Fields. Now, I can't say with 100% truth that Justin Fields will be the week 1 starter because we don't know. Like I said, there's time. Okay, there's time for Nick Foles, Andy Dalton to really get the show under. But there is time for them to really show what they are made of. All right, but definitely could be the case that Justin Fields is that week 1 starter. So this is actually going to be one hell of a show. All right, and to really see who actually takes the starting role, okay, for the Chicago Bears. So with that being said, let's move over to yet another quarterback story, I guess, surrounding Lamar Jackson. Now he's in the AFC. Oh boy, it's a fun day to get your fix, ain't it? Hopefully you guys are all enjoying the show a little bit. There's some fun things, there's some weird things. It is what it is, okay? We do this every day, or try to, with little to no distractions, but that just ain't the case living where I'm living right now. Hopefully that changes in about a month. So, going over to the story surrounding Lamar Jackson. So I guess the Ravens plan to get Lamar Jackson under center a little more this upcoming season. That's their goal. All right. Why? Couldn't tell you. I don't know why they want to do this. I can understand because of the passing yards that he's been able to have, but Lamar is a mobile quarterback. Okay, more than he is a fucking pocket passer. We've seen it. Okay, he's had 1,000+ rushing yards the past 2 seasons, and he's had 7 touchdowns each. Okay, so in my opinion, not in anybody else's opinion, this is my opinion, I believe Lamar is actually probably going to be better off in the shotgun, a couple yards behind the center, just down, and then, looking to see what he can do. And I really think that if he is in shotgun, he's going to be able to really read the defense a little bit longer, take his time, because it gives, I think that extra space, that extra 5-7 yards is going to be able to really have, make him look at the defensive line that are coming at him. It's going to give him a little bit more time. All right, he's going to find receivers a little bit faster. If they have a shorter route, he's going to be able to look right away where he can get the ball to and where he can't. All right, and he's able to use his feet the way that he has been. Okay, he is a dual threat. He can pass. People called him running back. He's not. Okay, he's a quarterback. People wanted to move to receiver and stuff like that. Stop doing that shit. Okay, you drafted him for the sole reason that he was a quarterback. Stop saying he is what he isn't. Okay, he is a quarterback. He's a dual threat quarterback. That's what this game is moving to, a mobile quarterback game. We don't see many pocket passers today. I mean, Tom Brady's one. I think you can consider Aaron Rodgers and Justin Herbert one, but they can both still scramble and get on their feet. I think Kirk Cousins is one, even though he can't pass the ball, or get the ball away. And that was weird, but geez, women, they are just, when they're drunk, they are crazy. They are loud too. But being a dual threat is awesome at the quarterback position. Okay, because that's what, like I said, that's what this game is moving towards. Okay, even Patrick Mahomes has shown that he can run. I mean, 420-some yards. that he had a scramble in that Super Bowl, I think last year, is just mind-boggling. So it's moving towards that mobile game. So don't say he's a running back. He is a quarterback. All right? Now, really what this is like the Ravens, I think, are kind of trying to fool people, trying to say that, like, hey, we're going to have him under center more so you guys can get a better chance. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Because if you do, I think he's going to take more hits, okay? He's probably going to have, he might have the opportunity to have a little bit more passing yards, being that, he's going to have to scramble a little bit more, try to find receivers, or he could have more rushing yards. And he might have even less rushing yards because he is so close to the line, because he won't have as much time to really read the defense and see what's going on and really make that split-second decision. Okay, I got to get out of the way. Because if you're dropping back, you're right there, and you're a lot closer. I mean, we all know. We've seen football. We've seen how it can go. But I don't know. I just kind of thought this is really pretty interesting for the main part, because if he is under center more often, like I said, I mean, he could probably make more mistakes, probably get hit more. He could suffer an injury or two. And it's just how the cookie crumbles. I think if they try it, they're going to realize pretty quick that they need to go back to the shotgun and run that, I don't know what it's called, ace formation, or have those two running backs next to him and really go from there. And especially if they have Todd Gurley coming. If they actually sign Todd Gurley, they can have Todd Gurley, Gus Edwards, Lamar Jackson, and try to get the ball somewhere. Okay, they can fake hand it off and then hand it the other way, or they can just fake and pass. There's a whole bunch of crap that they could do with that. But I just thought this is pretty interesting news. I thought I should bring it to you guys. All right. However, though, that dude is still going to be a magician with his feet. We've seen what he can do, making people fall, putting them on skates, being Lamar Jackson, being the way he should be, not a running back. He's a quarterback. All right. So who knows how that's all going to play out. The Ravens could just be blowing smoke. And, okay. Well, that is going to do it for today's show. And a pretty solid week, I'd say, except for yesterday with the 7-minute bullshit. Except for Mr. Jesse walking in. But that's all right. Hey, we're okay. Now, if you would have told me he was coming in, that would have been awesome. Granted, I don't check my phone too much because I have it over here just in case I need to see. But I have my vibration off and all of that. But, I mean, hey, I got to jazz up the table a little bit this week. Give you guys something else to look at other than this. But, hey, what is better than listening to me, huh? My fucking awesome takes. They could be awesome, or they could just be, garbage, whatever you guys think. But I think we've had a pretty, solid week. Now, like I said yesterday, this will be the last show for this week. Okay, as tomorrow morning I do have a meeting to possibly be a flag football coach for a little hometown. That would be awesome. I love football. That'll be sweet and stuff like that. And then after that, I also have to try to get, or actually I will, 100%, hold me to it. I will get my merchandise pictures posted. I don't know what time. It'll be for sure tomorrow. So you guys kind of have all weekend and whatnot to look at that. But I'll have them posted so you guys are, have the opportunity to get your fix with some merch, if you will. So with that being said, hey, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. All right? And do some crazy stuff. Have some fun. Go out there on the lake, whatever the hell you guys like to do. Go do something fun. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. Like always, we'll see you back here Monday at 6 p.m. Central, like always, again. All right, and you just got your fix with Wicks. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having for